Get in on the secret. September is one of the best times to visit the Boardwalk Plaza Hotel in Rehoboth Beach. The weather is grand, and just steps from the sand, you can relax and experience the convenience of their oceanfront location right on the Rehoboth Beach Boardwalk. Enjoy Victoria's Restaurant, the charming Plaza Pub and room service. Visit boardwalkplaza.com and book your perfect getaway today, or call 800-33-BEACH for fast, friendly assistance. Thanks to the Boardwalk Plaza for being the Bridge Podcast Network sponsor.
If you've ever asked the question, why do Christians homeschool their kids? You found the right podcast. I'm Mark Dickey.
And I'm Burt Miller.
This is the Why Do Christians podcast. Hey, welcome to the show. My name is Mark Dickey. I host the afternoon show on the Bridge radio station. My co-host is Pastor Burt Miller from Solid Ground Church. Burt, how are you today?
Well, Mark... Action Dickey, because Action is your middle name. I'm doing great. I'm doing great, man. How are you?
I am doing well. And do you have a guess for what my actual middle name is today?
Okay. No. And the reason I don't is there have been a couple times lately where I've made the guess and you've been like, you're getting close. And I know that if I get it right, the show ends. I don't want it to happen. So I'm just going to play it safe. And I'm putting up this boundary now.
Okay.
Because I don't want to go there, Mark. I don't want that. I don't want that for me, for us. I don't want that.
My middle name is not No.
It's not what?
It's not No.
No.
Your guess was No.
Is that what I guessed?
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you did there. Okay, yeah, okay. All right.
Well, we have a special guest on our podcast today, the one and only, I think you might be the only, Rachael Savini. Rachael, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, so we wanted to talk about homeschooling. It's something that is pretty common in Christian culture. And I asked Burt, what do you think we should do about this? And you were the first person he thought of.
Yeah. One of the main homeschooling people that I know. So I was like, who'd be a good authority on this would be the Rachael Savini. So that's the genesis of this episode, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell us about your family. I was about to say, how many husbands do you have?
She's not reverse Mormon. That's not a thing.
You have a husband. What's it? Matt. And how many kids do you have?
3.
3. What do I need? How old are they?
I have a 12-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 5-year-old.
Okay. And you homeschool all of them.
I do.
Which is why we're here today.
It's magical, yes.
Have you been doing that since day one?
No. So we actually tried a Christian school for a while, and then after 2 years, we switched over to homeschool. And this is our 5th year that we're finishing up
Now,
homeschool.
5 years of children in the house.
24/7. All the questions, all the snacks.
So were you working before that?
Yes.
Okay. What were you doing?
I'm a trained teacher, and so, yeah.
So that helps.
Kaboom. I know. It's wonderful. It's definitely helpful to have been trained to be a teacher. It does add an added level of pressure that I put on myself, though, knowing what I used to do in the classroom and, all the hats that you juggle and now add into a mom and a homeschool mom and how do you make money when you homeschool, all the things, But it's great.
And you don't get to send them home at the end of the day.
No, but the principal does come visit every day at the end of the day, the dad. So that's helpful.
Nice.
So, Burt.
Yeah.
You have 2 kids.
I do.
How old are they?
12 and 10.
Okay.
Yeah, Ben and Luke.
Oh, I see some
We're
commonality.
twinsies.
Yeah.
Now, what do your kids do for school?
My kids are public school. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's so funny, too. I've been looking forward to this episode a little bit because I realized something that's happened. I don't know if it's happened in my lifetime or I was just oblivious. I remember, because I'm a product of public school, and not knowing that many people who homeschooled, like when I was in high school and middle and elementary, all that stuff. And I feel like within the last few years, I've seen more and more people homeschooling than I remember happening. And maybe it was happening before and I just didn't know it, but for whatever reason, I feel like it's come to the forefront a lot more.
Yeah. Well, I have a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and my wife stays home with the kids, and we have started the homeschool journey with our 4-year-old Brooklyn in pre-K. And I was public schooled. My wife was homeschooled. She had a little bit of public schooling, but going into our marriage, she was just like, I want to homeschool our kids. I want to homeschool our kids. And I'm like, but they're going to turn out weird.
Oh, if only I had $1 every time I heard that line.
Is that
That's
a common thing?
Homeschoolers are weird.
Do you agree with that? Disagree with that?
I think in this day and age, I want my kids to be weird compared to what is out there.
Yeah, I mean, I had one of my best friends growing up. He was one of 5, and they were all homeschooled, and they were like the coolest people ever. They were the most social homeschooled people I'd ever met. So I know it's possible.
Yeah.
Which I also married a girl who was homeschooled.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously she turned out pretty cool as well.
Okay.
But
Well, so
She sure did.
Yeah. So I'm just thinking this through a little bit, right? And all 3 of us at the table went to public school. 2 of us here, or one of us is doing homeschool, leading a homeschool group. You're considering it for your kids. Your wife is.
yeah, we're doing it.
Okay. Well, but they're still young. They're
True.
like,
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And here I am, the schlub who's sending my kids to public, and my wife's a public school teacher. I guess for me, if I'm looking at this question and saying, okay, why do Christians homeschool? I have no framework for it because I have no experience with it. So I would just want to ask that, like what, Rachael, for you, like what led to that decision on your end, particularly if you've got a background in education, you're like, no, I think this is better for my kids. Like what brought that about?
Such a good question. So I discovered as a teacher the ins and outs of a school. You see the good, the bad, the ugly. You see the amazing blessing that a good teacher can have when they just jive with your kids. And you've seen the kids that don't want to go to school and they have tummy aches every day, or they come home and there's homework and, you're unpacking a backpack and, oh, we've got a field trip coming up, or this money is due, and all the fun things. That's what makes school, right? The PTA meetings and all the things. So being a teacher in a classroom, I loved it. I thrived there. It was my favorite thing. I feel like Mrs. Savini is the person that's my best self. I love teaching kids. It's where I long to be again one day, which is why it's so interesting that I'm in the boat that I'm in right now, giving my children Mrs. Savini. That is what we're doing right now. But really, it came down to when I was in the classroom, I saw that every student really has special needs. Not always cerebral palsy, not always neurodivergent, but we're all special in the way that we learn, the way that we need connection, the way that we bond with certain people. We all need these accommodations. And I saw my students in my classroom killing it, right? Because I could control that. I could know their family. I could know if they didn't get a good night's sleep because it was thunderstorming last night. Oh, Ava's really going to have a hard time today. Wow. I could know that, And then I saw that my own kids weren't getting that same experience, and it just broke me. And so realizing that my kids are special needs, truly, actually, when we found out they are special needs, the best way for me to give them a personalized education was at home and make sure that every single part of their day is tailored to their interests, the way that they learn, the way that will make them successful versus... So my son, Graham, I love him. He is brilliant and sweet. He has autism, and when he was in first grade, he needed to wear noise-canceling headphones and would hide under his desk most of the day and would bring home a lot of his work from the school day. Nothing would get done, or he would snap pencils, and you just see the frustration and the sadness in him. And when we decided to bring him home, he doesn't need those accommodations anymore.
Wow.
And because we were able to eliminate a lot of those stressors for him. And now I recognize that not everyone needs all of the accommodations that he needed. But then I saw my typical child also thrive.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, so you would say that it was, if I'm hearing you right, educational quality for your children, because you could, versus a classroom where you couldn't control the environment, who they had as a teacher, their experience as a student, but also as a parent, it was a shepherding move for you.
Right. I agree.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that on your end, if I'm hearing you right, it doesn't sound like it was an across the board decision of, hey, every child needs to do this, but this is what's best for our family. I guess my question would be, is that pretty typical of the people who who homeschool? Is it similar reasoning, or does it have to do with concern about what they're hearing in education or being taught? I mean, like, what, in your experience with other homeschooling families, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I tried to compile a little bit of a list of families I've encountered over time. Like, what's your why? And one of them was avoiding bullying, making sure that all of their curriculum is through a biblical worldview. Some families just want to take vacations whenever they want. That's a real thing.
Dude.
Solid.
I know. You can hit Disney anytime in the off season. Interesting. I know. Wheels are turning.
She said the Disney word.
Yeah, there it was. Okay. Go on.
Yeah,
Sorry.
so then we
Sell
could-
me on this. All right.
There's the whole one-on-one aspect of, if you're an adult and you're in training, do you learn best when there's a whole room full of people training, or if someone sits next to you and they're kind of guiding you through, well, this is what you click on, now you try it. It's a different learning experience, one-on-one versus whole group setting, and some families want that.
That speaks to me. I was the kid, I don't know, I just needed to know why. It wasn't just, this is what the teacher says, but help me understand the big picture of what this equates to. And I couldn't count the times that I would ask a question and the entire class would just like, oh, Mark's asking a question again. And now you got me wishing. I'm like, oh, I wonder how much better at school I would have been.
I'm just saying that asking why like that is a sign of giftedness, though. So I think you should always encourage that wonder.
So the topic of the name of the episode is Why Do Christians Homeschool? Do you get to incorporate your faith into your kids' schooling?
100%. I think that's probably the coolest part is our day all starts not in a rush and hustle and bustle when people wake up. We have breakfast together and we pray. We have devotionals that we'll each do on our own, and then devotionals as a family. And I know devotional is just like the generic thing that a Christian family would do, right? That's what you would expect. But it's pretty interesting when it comes off the page and then we go and we volunteer together as a family. And we love the people that we're talking about in our devotion. And we have that flexibility to be the hands and feet of Jesus. Whatever our devotion, whatever our verse was about, how can we apply that to our day, to our family, to our sibling when we're fighting?
That's cool. Now, so my wife bought, I got to be honest, we do like homeschooling pre-K right now, but I haven't done any of the research. She like found this kit online that's like
Probably sent her the link, sorry.
But it's like a workbook, and it
Does it have a puppy on it?
I don't remember. It's got a lot of watercolor, and it looks very nice. But it incorporates like memory verses for the week, and every day at the breakfast table, we're starting school casually around the table by who can we pray for, and what's our memory verse for the week, and it's just really neat.
Totally agree.
Is that so you do it from a workbook as well?
Well, we pick up different devotionals, like maybe a Bob Goff or whatever we choose. Yeah,
That's
I
so
know.
cool.
He's so cool.
Because I guess when I imagined homeschooling, it's like, all right, I'm the teacher. I got to figure out how to teach math and stuff, but it might not be as hard on that end as people might think it is.
I definitely think that's one of the misunderstood misconceptions about homeschool is I'm not a teacher. And that's just, and like if you go to Wawa and people see your kids out and they're like, oh, you didn't have school today. And we're like, we homeschool. Oh boy, do the conversations and questions start flying. But as soon as I tell them, well, I'm a trained teacher, you don't have to worry, I've got it under control, they instantly will zip it, skip it. However, I have some friends that aren't teachers, and they have a very different experience in that Wawa line. And it just breaks my heart because no one knows that child better than their mother or their father or whoever is homeschooling them and has their best interests at heart. And so it's easy to just say, you're not doing the right thing when you have no idea what they're doing at home.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? Like, the alternative would be public schools. So that's like, I want to do this custom thing for my family, or I want to do the thing that everyone's doing. And it makes me think of, like, I'm so careful about what my kids watch. It's very important to me. Usually Sunday after church is like family movie day, where we just fall apart on the couch and we put something on. But I won't let my kids watch something I haven't watched first. And so at least when we watch it, I'm there the first time. And just because it's rated G or PG doesn't mean it's appropriate for my 4-year-old.
Absolutely.
And just because her friends at church are watching these shows doesn't mean it's appropriate for them. And when you send your kid into the fray of all these other kids' experiences, they might be picking things up that you're like, I don't think you're ready for that.
I agree. It's tricky because it's more than just throwing them in. It's 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, 180 days a year, 13 years of their life. It's like 16,000 hours with your child when you choose to send them to school. And you can't control the bus driver or the secretary or the teacher or the para or the substitute. There's a lot of trust, and I've been there, and I've been the parent trusting. I've been the teacher putting a lot of weight on the value, like the responsibility. These are people's precious gems, but it's tricky. You can't control everything.
Yeah. Now, Burt, what since you have kids in public school, what would you say as, because there is a counter to it.
Sure.
Because maybe the things I limit my kids to,
right?
Like, all right, no, Brooklyn's too young to watch Finding Nemo. That scene with the fish in the deep is just too scary, and I'm not going to deal with nightmares.
Right.
But maybe she is ready, and I'm holding her back. Like,
well, I mean, I can't speak to
not that situation specifically, but
right. I think on our end that there are a few things. Number one, I think where I sit with all of it would be a few things. I'm not an educator, so I don't have the experience or training to be able to say which is best for quality of education, for experience of child, or anything like that. So I would never say to someone you should or should not homeschool. That's outside of my expertise. I'm a Bible guy, and there's no Bible verse that says do it this way or do it that way. For us, I think the concern that Rachael vocalized with, hey, your kids are in an environment for 8 hours a day for 13 years. I think there's validity to that, that essentially you're entrusting your children to people who you hope will care for and shepherd them well. But it's a little bit tougher than that, because you're also sending your kids into an environment where, in the public setting, not everyone is going to be a Christian. Not everyone is going to embrace a biblical worldview. And so it could be that they are presented things that you just completely disagree with. For Katie and me, with our boys, we've tried to go up front with that. And so we view their school and their education not as a training ground for their spirituality. We think that's our responsibility. But instead, we view it as a mission field for them to do ministry in the community. So with our kids, we believe, hey, they're in public school. Are they going to meet kids who, come from very difficult places in life? Sure. That's also going to happen if you're at a Christian school, or, even if you're at the park and you meet somebody like that. That's not a public school or a private school or a homeschool thing. That's where we live. There's brokenness everywhere. For us, we go, hey, how can we get our guys so that they're in places to speak to the lives of people who don't know Jesus, right? And so, and there's a real tension with that of, okay, but are they influencing? Are they being influenced? There are some things now as my older son's going into middle school, and they're teaching him things about human origins and sexuality and stuff like that, where we have conversations up front. This is what they're going to tell you. Here's what we believe about that. Is there is there concern of, okay, you're saying that, but they're still going to be inundated over and over again? Sure. I hate to say that it's the great experiment. I don't mean it that way because it's my children's lives.
Sure.
But I trust that the Lord will be faithful in their formation and growth. Like, there's this passage in Acts 2 where it talks about how the promise of Jesus is to you and to your children and to those who are far off. And so I believe that the same God who saved me, who saved you, nobody gets saved by accident. Nobody gets saved or formed spiritually apart from the activity of the Holy Spirit. And so when my children enter into environments where I can't completely control where they are, I'm choosing to trust God while at the same time not absolving myself and my wife of responsibility for everything that I can do on their end. So we view their public schooling as a missions opportunity rather than a discipleship grounds, if that makes sense. Yeah.
You reminded me of when I was in college and I was in a biology class, and how strange and conflicting it was in my heart to have these exams with these questions about things I don't believe.
Sure. Yeah.
And I know this is what my teacher wants me to write.
Yeah.
And going, okay, I know I want to put D, but A is what the science book says.
Yeah.
And so if I want to pass this class and move on with my life, I need to in theory compromise what I believe.
Right.
And say what the teacher wants me to say.
Right. Well, and that's, two examples of that, off the top of my head. Again, with my older boy, it's less in elementary school, though certainly he's meeting folks who have different worldviews in elementary. But my older boy in middle, he's got a science class where I'm really thankful for. One of the other kids in his class is the son of David Vargas, who's a pastor over at United Church in Milford here. And so it's Ben and David, and they have a similar viewpoint. They can be there for each other in this. So like when they're being presented this stuff about human origins, evolution, all things like that, like interpretations of those things that we just frankly don't agree with. I like that the two of them, he's like, hey, that was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. Or hey, like raising their hands and challenging that. Or there's another time, he been in a foreign language class recently. They were asked to make a thing for Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, and they wanted them to make an altar for dead relatives.
Oh my
This is a school thing that was sent home because it's viewed as just, this is just a thing that people do in the world. And so like Ben had to go, no, we're not going to do that. Now look, I'm saying like worst case in the same place, there are people like my wife and so many others who love Jesus and are doing whatever they can to care for students well. And I don't think Rachael would disagree with that being a teacher. Like there are people who sincerely care and sincerely want to be there for kids. But I recognize, okay, these are real, I don't want to say dangers, but these are real concerns like in the public arena, which is why if somebody says to me, hey, I'm concerned about what my kids are going to be taught or how they're going to be affected, I want to homeschool them or private school, I would never go, oh, well, you shouldn't do that. I think that's ridiculous to make that assumption. Yeah. Rachael, I love what you said earlier where you said like, we realized in like with our kids, like this is what we needed for them. Like, I think that's valid.
I think that's my number one thing about any kind of schooling is that as long as every family sits down and they really look at their children, look at their family, what direction do they want their family to go? And as long as that conversation has been had and they know they're doing what's best for their family, then that's what I support personally. I just want what's best for everybody. It could be a Christian school, homeschool, public school, online school. As long as you're meeting their needs, that's what we're supposed to do. I think you're doing the right thing.
So if your kids are thriving in a public school, like because you listen to this episode, it doesn't mean yank your kids out of public school.
1,000,000%. It means that you're going to pour into your kids when they're home with you, and you're going to love on them, and your job is to train them up in the way that they would go when they are with you. And I think that's the point.
You know what you reminded me of, Burt, is there's like 2 verses in the Bible about Jesus when he was little. And remember when they lose him?
In the temple? Yeah.
Yeah. And aren't they in like I'm just pulling this out of nowhere. They're like in like a caravan.
Let's make it up. Go.
Sure
Right? Yeah. There's like hundreds of people going from town to another town, and they haven't seen Jesus in a couple days, right?
Right. It's in Luke 2.
And do you want to read that? Is it brief?
Well, it's a few verses.
It's long enough.
It's Luke 2:41 through 52. Every year, Jesus' parents went to Jerusalem for the festival of the Passover. When he was 12 years old, they went up to the festival according to the custom. After the festival was over, while his parents were returning home, the boy Jesus stayed behind in Jerusalem, but they were unaware of it. Thinking he was in their company, they traveled on for a day. Then they began looking for him among the relatives and friends. Yeah.
So little 6th grade Jesus
Sure.
Is missing for a day.
Right. Tweening out in the temple.
And
Go on.
But I just think about I'm reminded of it takes a village to raise a child phrase, but that also in that time, you were much more connected to your community.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like they probably knew the name of nearly everybody in that caravan. Yeah. And they weren't worried about where he was.
Right.
Not so today, where you might live in one town, your kids go to school in another town, the kids they go to school with are another town over, and you have no idea who is influencing your kids' lives.
That is such a good point. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that's really interesting. Yeah. And you're part of is it a homeschool group?
I would call it that, yeah.
It's a group of families, people that...
like-minded families homeschooling together. That's how we describe our little group.
That's awesome. And you know what's funny? I was at Amity Coffee in Greenwood yesterday, and I ran into a couple, is it Judah? Who's the oldest?
Jackson.
Oh, the Martins?
Yeah. I ran into him.
That was our homeschool group. That was them.
I saw them yesterday, like out in the community.
That's their study hall. They were doing study hall, middle school study hall at a coffee shop. Come on. That's a pretty great life.
Why would I want square pizza from the cafeteria when I can?
So you guys get coffee shops and Disney mid-year? I got to reevaluate everything. Hey, actually, Rachel, you touched on this a couple of times. I wanted just to make sure that we talked about it a little bit. And like you talked about, people always think this or think that. Here's these misunderstandings that people have about homeschoolers, whether that be that those providing the education are inept or the kids are weird or socially unadjusted. Could you talk about maybe some common misunderstandings that people have about what it means to homeschool and that whole experience?
I love that. I'm a list person, so let me give you a list of some misunderstandings.
Great.
Being antisocial or weird.
And when you say antisocial, what do you mean by that?
I would say that sometimes people will meet a homeschooler and just say they don't know they're a homeschooler. They'll meet a child and they'll be very well-versed, they'll be kind, they'll be respectful. And then when you tell them, oh, we're homeschooled, they're like, oh, what about socialization? When they totally ignore the fact that they were just really socializing well with you. And I think because our children aren't in a group of 250 at a school, they think there's no way you're getting socialization when we go to the grocery store practically every day. Who doesn't, right? We're going to the library. We're going on walks. There are aunts and uncles. Like there are all sorts of people in their day, more than just aged peers. Because, how often do you meet someone that's exactly the same age as you? And that's just who you're going to hang out with all day, which is what a public school setting is, a bunch of 6-year-olds, a bunch of 12-year-olds. And so instead, homeschoolers are a range of people, maybe someone older that needs help with their shopping cart or a little baby that couldn't reach something, so they go and help that child. And I just think the socialization is just a crock of hooky. It really is.
I've never met someone at a public school who wasn't.
Oh, I've never heard the phrase crock of hooky. We need a t-shirt
database.
That. Yeah. Can we put that in the show notes?
I wonder what the percentage is, just of high school graduating class, how many people you would consider socially awkward who spent 12 years in public education. Right. And no, it wasn't that they were in public school or homeschool, but just they socialize differently.
Well, even if you look at a regular teenager now, the expectation is hood up, down on the phone. Does that seem social?
No.
So
Touché, yeah.
Thank you. I'm just saying there's two sides to every coin, and I just don't think it's fair that we get the ugly side of the coin in that piece. But here's another one. They say we're weird, which, that's fair because we're exploring our own interests. So I might have one kid that's, building everything out of Legos and another who's taking apart a toaster and building it again, and that's okay. And another little girl that, dresses in 5 princesses a day.
Is one of your kids really taking apart a toaster?
I'm not going to confirm or deny. But my toaster is currently working.
I can confirm my brother had to get stitches taking apart a toaster.
Oh, dude. Okay.
The coils inside are very sharp.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So our
Fish didn't
takeaway.
expect me to have that little story.
I didn't. No. Go on. Okay. I'm sorry. So specific interest. You were saying.
So sometimes when you meet someone and they have a special interest, it is an above and beyond special interest. And I think that when you homeschool, you're able to play into that and let that encourage them and excite them and have them dig deep into that. And sometimes some people might think that's weird, but just because you have the option to really dig deep into that, I don't think it should make them weird. But another common misconception is that homeschoolers don't do any work and they hang out in their pajamas all day. And although sometimes we might be in our pajamas more than not, it's not all day. And I would just say that's comfortable attire, and if you can do your work in pajamas, why not? That sounds like a perk. I think most adults, if they have the day off where you could work from home, they're wearing a nice top with their jams, right?
Yeah.
So
I've heard there's some movement saying that you only have 6 good hours a day. And so they're talking about, if we had a 6-hour work day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that you could actually, your brain just stops. You don't have, two of your 8-hour workday is just brain fog. It's not actually that good. And you could get more done.
Okay.
Because you'd be more refreshed. And I wonder that about maybe homeschool, I don't know this, maybe homeschool kids might do less work during the day, but it's more intentional work.
Right. If you imagine in a classroom, it may take an hour to do a math lesson, right, for 25 students to grasp a concept, find their pencil, find the right page on the book, where it might take 25 minutes in a homeschool setting with your mom sitting next to you, and you're able to listen, absorb, replicate, and move on, and there you go. Yeah. So that's why our day is short. And it isn't that we're not doing the same amount of work. It's just that a lot of our time isn't wasted.
Yeah.
It's more intentional.
Not walking to another class.
Not asking to go to the bathroom. We all have to wait.
You're taking me back. I haven't thought about these things in a long time.
Well, it's because that's what we grew up with, right? That's what we knew. That's what school was. That was part of the fun, right? Talking in the lunchroom, getting in trouble in the hallway. You had to walk like this. It's just the way that we were raised, and that's what the expectation was. And so sometimes when you become a homeschooler, you have to deprogram a little bit. That we're not recreating school at home. This is homeschool. This is school for Graham, and this is school for Everett, and this is school for Sunny.
Those are your kids?
Yes. Yeah, sorry. Each of my kids' day looks a little bit different. We're just all doing it together.
That's so cool.
I'm a big fan. I wasn't at first, I have to tell you, when I would meet homeschool, as a teacher, when I would meet a homeschool family, I was like, oh, here we go. What were they really doing? They're going to be behind. And I was wrong. And that was wrong of me to have that. That was wrong. Parents are qualified to teach their kids. That's another misconception that I know that I felt, that you did need to be trained. You do need to know what the standards are in your state. You do need to know what milestone your child should be hitting. And I think the parents can do that.
How long have you been homeschooling? 5 years?
Yes.
So did that start with COVID?
Right before, praise
right
the
before.
Lord. Yeah,
okay.
He took me out in 2019, right before.
Wow. So, because I can imagine a lot of people listening to this, they went through that and it was not for them. Do you have any thoughts about that?
Well, if I had been teaching at the time and I had to homeschool my children, I would understand why I wouldn't have been able to maintain that either. So I understand. And I also think it's different when it's not a choice, where these families were not able to go to the grocery store. It was a scary time. We're wearing masks. Your children are on a screen. You have multiple children. They're trying to learn how to read from a teacher on a screen. It wasn't the perfect setting, and I don't think that was fair, because that is not homeschool. That was school at home with an online teacher in a large group setting. That is the complete opposite of the culture that a true homeschool would try to achieve.
I can say, having done that with my kids, it was the worst.
I'm sorry.
It was awful. It was absolutely awful. Yeah.
I don't think many people would argue that.
Right.
Like, parents would say that was a hard time. Children would say that was a hard time.
I guess one thing I would just want to make sure we're clear on in this conversation too. I think about maybe that single mom who is working a full-time job to stay afloat while caring for her kids, or a family where both parents are working, or just for whatever reason, homeschool is not an option. I'm not talking about like whether they believe that it's best for their kids or not. Like that's a whole different conversation. But just, hey, we would consider it, but we just can't. What I want to make sure that they hear from us right now is not any kind of shot at their parenting character, or shepherding of their children. And let's be careful to encourage. And I would just tell you that, like, that's the boat that you find yourself in. Trust that the Lord is going to provide. Trust that the Lord is going to move in your family's life. All of us are going to see options sometimes where we're like, oh man, that would be better than the way that I'm doing, or the way that I can do things right now. I wish I could. And it would be easy to deflate and be like, man, what's the point of any of it? And I think every person at this table would hate for you to walk away from this conversation hearing that or feeling that.
And you know what? It's just hitting me now that homeschool is kind of a luxury. Like, it's definitely a luxury, because public schools, for the most part, it's free.
Sure.
But for one parent to stay home is a financial decision. Because my wife, since we got married, said, I want to stay home with our kids. We have worked over the years to get down to one income. We cut back on things we didn't need to spend money on. We go to a restaurant maybe once a month. We used to go 2 or 3 times a week. We do it maybe once a month, and it's normal for our family now. And we've carved out the budget and the ability for me to work and for her to stay home. And yeah, you just made me think of that. Like,
oh, it's cool.
Like you can't just say, okay, we're going to do it now. It's not just this light switch. Here's why you should switch to Tide.
Okay.
Rachel, for someone who maybe they can't homeschool, but, bringing it back to the title, why do Christians homeschool their kids? What's something from what you do with your kids to tie your faith into helping raise your kids? What's something that you could, like, maybe a little nugget that you could give somebody? Maybe it's the morning devotion or something else that, okay, I can't homeschool my kids, but I still want to do a better job of helping my kids know who Jesus is.
I think we look at Jesus for this one. I think when you find Jesus on earth, he meets people's needs where they are. He meets them. He listens to them. He connects with them. And I think that's my favorite part of homeschool, is being able to know each of my children for who they are exactly, their strengths, their weaknesses, their goals, their struggles, the things that I can know because I know them so well. I'm in it with them. And that's what I think every parent can still be in it with their child. It's that connection. It's that quality time that you spend when you have it. So if it's dinner at the table, light candles, put the phones away, be intentional, ask about their day and about their friends, and go on dates like the mom and the son, and you go get ice cream, or you go to the park and have family movie nights on Friday. Be predictable, be active, be intentional. Put your kids first with the time that you have with them. I think that is what Burt is doing with his boys. This is the conversation that may come up. This is what we believe. This is why. You're connecting with them. You're coming alongside them and saying, this might be hard for you, but this is the right path. And you're training them. And that's the whole point. That's what we're all trying to do. Whether you have 24 hours a day or 4 at the end of the day, you're making that time count.
Burt, and I've heard you say, is it when I'm, how do you say it? You say, I don't know, 8 to 4, I'm at the church. But when I'm home,
that time belongs to my family.
That's my boys' time.
Yeah. Like I'm a minister. I believe that my first ministry is for my wife and my sons. Like, so they take priority over everything else. And if that makes somebody mad, okay. But like that window between, 4 for Luke, 3 for Ben, until they go to bed, that is their time. Because and kind of what you're talking about, like somebody else gets them for 8 hours. Okay, well, I'm going to make sure that we've got them and that we're present with them for the hours that we've got.
Yeah. And regardless of where your kids go to school, that's a reminder all of us need, that they're only kids for so long, and whatever time we have with them that's it.
Really quick, I do want to just make sure that I'm understanding right. So if we're asking this question, why do Christians homeschool? Rachel, what I'm hearing from you, Mark, what I'm hearing from you, is that there can be a number of reasons, but chief among them are care of children, whether that be educational, also spiritual, to make sure that you're guaranteeing a specific kind of education and worldview being poured into their lives. Maybe it can be protective as well. Are there any other big hitters with that I'm missing right now, or that you would say this is absolutely essential? This is why Christians homeschool, or the Christians that you know homeschool?
I agree, Burt.
Okay. Okay. I want to make sure that I've got that right, so I can learn here and get the right heart and thought behind what you guys are saying right now. So I just want to make sure that I've got it here on my end, in my old noggin here. Yeah.
And I feel like there's got to be some little nook or cranny that we have missed in this episode, and somebody's going, but why didn't you talk about this? Why are you leaning towards, in this conversation, homeschool's the better option?
So give them Rachel's email. Well, that would be great.
Well, in reality, public school is the normal option. Mm-hmm. So if you didn't listen to this podcast, odds are good your kids are going to be homeschooled, and it's going to be the way that it is. Homeschooling is a unique, different way. It's becoming more popular, but it's kind of the main alternative. And so that's why we wanted to hear more about it, and specifically from a biblical worldview and just point of view. And so if we missed something specific that you're passionate about, I apologize. I think we can all look at each other around the table and say, there isn't one way to raise a kid, but the intention is, I want to pick the best thing for my children. And so if you do have any questions about this episode, you can email them to podcast@wearethebridge.org. And Rachel, and let us know if you want Rachel back on the podcast. Maybe it's homeschool part 2, or
I don't have many other.
What else do you?
I'm just a teacher through and through.
Through
That's
and through.
me.
Why do
Sorry.
Christians teach?
Ooh.
All right, I'm going to think about it. We're going to come up with that. But if you have any topic ideas as well, you can email them to podcast@wearethebridge.org. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us and just sharing your heart on homeschooling today.
Thanks for being willing to hear us out. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a rating on your podcast platform. And if you have any questions, email them to podcast@wearethebridge.org. Thanks for listening.